Hi, everyone. You're watching The Self Connection with Ginny Brown and Kelly Pietro, where we have conversations with a group of ascended masters known as the multitude of the greater good.
We are here to convey information from the Multitude of the Greater Good, which is a group of teachers and healers who are ascended masters and have also lived on the earth plane. So they have some experience of what it's like to be here. Kelly will ask the questions and I'll channel the answers.
All right, Jen, thanks for being here. Thanks to the multitude. So, before we started recording, Ginny and I were talking about we're going to see a medium, and I said, "Oh, I hope my uncle comes through." And she said, "Well, do you want to just ask a question?" And so I did. And the channeled response was something to the effect of like he's going through a process. Now he died a couple of years ago at this point, 2 or 3, and it was something like he's in some sort of a process where he's looking to raise his vibration so that he can communicate to the earth realm, or on the earth realm, I think is what they said. So that sparked a curiosity in me of what processes a soul might experience once they pass from this earth plane. Their soul must be going through some sort of processes. There might be options, I don't know. It has me curious about the afterlife experience and why sometimes, like, well, I'll say for Ginny's experience, why sometimes a message can come directly from them, or sometimes the message has to come through the multitude about them. I'm curious about that. So I guess I'll start with what clarification can the multitude bring um, about this topic? Just leave it open.
It is important to understand, my dear, that you have asked very many questions in your inquiry, and we can tell you there is some information that one can glean or understand, but there is a very much more information that is not understandable on the earth plane. But we will give you our best information. We can tell you that when someone returns to the spiritual plane, there is a process, definitely I would say reincarnation, but
Integration.
assessment is the word of who they are, a reassessment of those things that they have completed or not completed on the earth plane. Therefore, they will be able to discern many things and understand the growth that has been acquired or non acquired on the earth plane. We can tell you there is always growth on the earth plane, however, not always in a vibrationary level. Therefore, when one returns as who they were before they left, plus um, bringing forth the information they learned from that lifetime. If one was able to raise one's vibration, one will be able to explore many different areas of being in the spiritual. However, if one has not allowed oneself the ability or the gift of raising one's vibration, one will complete their processes differently. In our estimation, it is important to understand that it is like it takes a great deal of energy on the spiritual plane for one to communicate with one on the physical plane. When one is ready, one is able to expand oneself to that completion of being. However, if it is that one is unable to complete that process to the level of vibration in order to express oneself directly, one will, it's like ask for help. One will allow one's information to come through via another, or it's like with the multitude when they bring through a message about another. It is important to understand that as one grows and one expands and allows oneself to raise their vibration, one will allow the all that is. And when one allows the all that is, one allows the communication. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay, this is sending me in so many directions now. Thank you. All
Okay.
right. First, I want to ask you, Ginny, because it dawned on me. I had an uncle just pass like last week.
Right.
When I said a message for my uncle before we recorded, did you think I meant that uncle or did you think I meant a different uncle?
I thought you meant that, Uncle.
Okay, so that brings up a good question. Bec-
And because you were saying now that you meant a different uncle.
yeah. So now it makes me wonder, like, I always thought like my intention drove the answer that you would channel, but your intention, I think, is important here too, because it makes sense that the uncle that just passed would maybe have a hard time kind of coming through at this moment.
Right.
And so that makes more sense to me.
In his process of I don't know the word,
Yeah, assessing, I think is what they said.
reintegrating or into the spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like a good thing to actually make note of that it's not just the intention of the sitter, right? In this case, I'm the sitter asking the question, but also the intention of the channeler, where their intention is focused that may drive the response. Ah, that's so cool. Okay. And
So I want to know is if the answer would be different from your other uncle that you are interested in hearing from.
yeah, that would, yeah.
So, in our estimation, my dear, he is quite capable of answering himself as he has been able to expand himself in such a way as to allow the vibratory effect to raise, therefore giving him the ability to converse completely on his own. Do not be concerned. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's so important, I think, for our viewers to notice um, how intention plays a role in this type of experience.
Yeah.
Okay, well, to that uncle, you better come through when Ginny and I go to see
Uh,
that show. That's who I want.
Dave,
Okay.
I could come through right now if you would like. However, I don't think you would want it, uh, you know,
Yeah,
shared.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. I was feeling that too, because like he and I had an intimate connection and I don't know what he's gonna say. So for the sake of the show, we'll table that for later. Okay, so then that makes me think differently because I had that uncle in mind, and like I said, it had been years. But since you were channeling from the perspective of the uncle that just passed, that makes more sense to me that that whole integration process would be happening very close to the time of death. Now, there are some cultures that will say, like, don't invoke their name, don't try to connect too close. Like, some cultures even give like a time span of within this many days, weeks, months.
Yeah.
Uh, don't try to go to a medium and reach out. I guess I'm looking for clarification of is there truth to that? Because like the view is like it would be harmful to the soul. They wouldn't be able to fully integrate and pass on and enter the afterlife, that it would somehow be harmful to that soul. What is the truth around that process? Would it be harmful to the soul, or is it just because it's just unlikely that you'll get a message?
I personally don't believe it's harmful because energy is energy regardless. It is important to understand, my dear, that when one leaves the earth plane, one is in the process of leaving one's physical self. However, one is quite much in control of one's own energetic self. And it does not matter whether it is in the process of leaving the physical self or whether or not it is in the spiritual realm of energy, regardless. In our estimation, it is a matter of the vibratory, energetic level of being, which allows one to converse differently. However, it is important to understand that when one comes to the earth plane, one is already of a higher vibratory level, as one could not be able to enter the earth's atmosphere. Uh, um, I mean, it's like they wouldn't be able to come to Earth if they weren't at a higher vibration already. We can tell you those on the Earth plane have allowed themselves much information. They have allowed themselves to learn. They have allowed themselves to understand. They have allowed themselves their knowing of being. However, it's like some decide to raise that vibratory level on the earth plane, and some just decide to be on the earth plane. As regardless of what one chooses, there is much learning accomplished on the earth plane and much knowing. Um, it's like it's like knowing the knowledge is expanded. In our estimation, my dear, it is important for each one to understand that they come to the earth plane for a reason. They come to live, to be, to allow, to know, to understand, and to experience, in our estimation. All of that is a contributing factor to raising one's experiential vibratory being. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay, so that gives some sort of notion that there are perhaps souls or energetic beings that do not incarnate. And it also gives this feeling of, okay, if the souls that come to Earth and incarnate are already at a high vibration, it, to me, what comes to mind is like this evolution of the soul reaching higher and higher vibrations. But I think in another episode, they said it's not like new souls are created. Like it's just everything is what it is. Like everything that's been created is already created. There's no such thing as like new souls created
Mhm.
that then evolve to a higher vibration to be able to do different things. It's like everything that is created is already created. I feel like they said that in the past. Uh,
Yeah,
can they, let's see, what's the question?
I believe that to be true, but there's also learning done while you're still in spirit.
Yeah.
You don't have to come to the earth plane. There's other places also to go to learn. But the earth school is the earth school is what I want to say. It's a difficult school. It's a school of high, you might say it's a school of higher learning. That's
Yeah.
what I just heard.
We all have our challenges here. It's
Right.
not a breeze. Hmm. Okay, so I guess the next question then would be, can they speak to like this idea of a soul? I guess like, okay, what's coming to mind and I can't put it into words is like what we might deem like as an evolved soul that has a lot of experience versus one that doesn't have a lot and
Okay.
maybe doesn't incarnate. Like, what is that experience like? What is the experience of a soul that doesn't incarnate? How are they experiencing, if
It
not
is
through
important.
con?
It is important to understand there are very many different ways that one can experience in spirit. There is a great deal of learning that is encouraged, and a great deal of understanding that is given. Therefore, one is free and open to learn whatever one wishes in spirit. However, should they choose to come and experience, that is a whole different type of learning, and is not always necessary for one to expand oneself. In our estimation, it is important to understand that when one comes to the earth plane, one is open to learning new things, to allowing oneself, whether or not they they know it, whether or not they believe it. It is important to understand that each one on the earth plane is experiencing, each one is learning, each one is allowing oneself to energetically allow the growth required. However, when one on the earth plane is expanding energetically, the energy is also dispersed, one might say, to every other one in the spiritual realm as the energy kind of expands itself and allows all. It's like it allows each and every other one to benefit from it. When each one expands oneself and moves forward, then each one allows and encourages other this, others the same by allowing one's own energetic vibration to expand and to be shared in the energy of all that is. Do not be concerned.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, if I came here and I experience all these things, eventually I'm going to return to the all that is and bring all that with me, which then is like on offer for anyone else who's part of the all that is to kind of experience through my bringing it back.
Yes, but also as you're experiencing it and expanding your own energy, the energy is energy and it expands itself everywhere. It's like it will expand, the energy will um, expand is the only word I can think of, to everyone on the earth plane, the collective, and to everyone in spirit. And the energy is just I don't know, it enriches the energy everywhere. It's not just you live it, you experience it, and you return and share it. It's as you are living it, the energy is shared. Shared is a good way. Good.
Oh, cool. Okay. And is that why like people who are empathic can feel these shifts because they're happening all the time? And maybe their soul is like experiencing that shared energy in that moment?
When one is on
Mhm.
the plane, it is a totally different set of rules, so to speak. When one is able to experience one's own energy, that is one thing. When one is able to experience another's energy, that is a capability that one has given oneself in order to allow not only oneself to expand, but also help another grow. In our estimation, when one allows it's like the energy to be on an even level, one with the other, there is a great deal accomplished. However, when one on the earth plane allows one's and another's energy to overtake their own, then one cannot accomplish their goal. Therefore, there is a great deal of work, so to speak, required in order to allow one to focus on oneself first and another second. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the whole idea of like when somebody passes
Okay.
and the example with my uncles, right? It was like, oh, he's in the process of reintegrating. That wasn't what they used.
Yeah.
Assessing is was the word they used.
Well, the assessing, I relate that to a life review.
Right, me too. That's so funny. I was thinking the same thing. So there's that process, and then, like, the other uncle who passed years ago, he must have gone through that process, and now he is able to raise his vibration in order to communicate. But if he returns to the all that is it just by calling upon him, we're calling upon that part of the all that is that encompasses just him. And then that's what you're channeling. And like for you, Ginny, you channel at the soul level. So it's like, we're not just going to channel my uncle, but we're going to channel like the oversoul of my uncle who experienced several lifetimes. I guess, is that kind of like what's happening when you ask the soul of a passed on loved one? Like that, because if they go back to the all that is, it's like, then how do we know that we're channeling him versus the all that is? You see what I'm saying? I guess I'm getting too hyper analytical about this, but my thirst for knowledge deep.
We
I
can
like
tell,
to
my
understand.
dear, that as it is that you continue to search, you will continue to become much more clear within yourself about what it is that you are wishing to know. However, we can tell you each one on the earth plane is a part of the whole. Each one allows oneself to contribute to the whole. And when one allows one's energy to increase on the earth plane, as you are doing, one allows one's energy to, it's like, I can just see it. I just see one big expanse of energy. And when we allow our energy to be included in that, it just gets dispersed and integrated, to use your word, into all of that energy. In our estimation, it does not matter who does what and who does what when. What matters is that one knows who one is when one is on the earth plane and when one returns to the all that is. There is the whole of each and every other one. Now, when one is interested in only the current earth self information from another, it can be generated. However, in our estimation, it is not the whole person, it is only that one little bit of that person's being and knowing. And when one returns to the all that is, there is not only that one person's being and knowing, there is that one person's being and knowing in every lifetime that that person has lived, and also shared with each and every other one and every other uh, energetic sense of being in the spiritual plane. In our estimation, it can become quite confusing. However, energy is energy. Whether one is on the earth plane or one is in spirit does not matter. The energy is always there. The energy is always connected. And the energy is always, it's like commingling with each and every other energy and sharing the information that is known with the all that is. Do not be concerned, all is love. You're on mute.
Thank you. That was a great message. And I have to share like my experience with you as I'm listening is on the on my screen saver, I have like a night sky with all the stars.
Yeah,
And then there's like, well, for me, it's sacred geometry. There's like shapes, right? Which you could almost say like constellations. And I think about how like maybe me in this lifetime is just one star, but me in all these lifetimes is a constellation. But my constellation is part of the night sky
yeah,
and all of the stars.
yeah.
So that's kind of the
That's a nice analogy.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then you have your constellation, but maybe our constellations overlap and you know, I don't know.
right.
So that's what came to me as you were channeling that.
Yeah,
Cool.
nice.
I
Very good.
think that's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, I think that covers that subject nicely.
And I'll point out the time just for you and I. The multitude was like, we'll end at 12:10, and it ended exactly at 12:10.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, they're very good with that part, with that kind of timing.
which is interesting to me.
Just
So,
that we are not, because we keep on going.
yeah, we're out in outer space right now. I have no concept of time. So, all right, that was great. Thank you, Ginny. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I really like your analogy too. Thank you for all of your inquiries and your inquiring mind, one might say.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks to the multitude for their expansive wisdom.
We would like you to understand that it is our pleasure to share our information and also to feel your energy of being, as it is quite expansive. In our estimation, it is quite right that each of you are in this process of being who you are and allowing others to share your journey. Do not be concerned, all is love. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's nice.
Yeah, that's great. Love it. All right. Well, thanks to everyone for watching another episode, and we'll see everyone next time on
And
this
as
connection.
usual, if you are interested in personal information from either one of us, our information is listed in the description below. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for Kelly. I'm Kelly. I'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.